So now we have blue chip, and this definition, I'm very pleased to say, we decided to illustrate with an object from the museum's collection, a stock certificate, and I'm sure nobody in the room ever owned this stock. And certainly if you did, you have conveniently forgotten that you did. So blue chip, noun, or blue chip, adjective. The largest, most widely owned stocks, a term derived from casinos where the most expensive chips are blue, a natural extension of the language of gambling to Wall Street, as speculators had long described buying stocks as making a bet. Jargon can be prophetic. The label blue chip became popular about 3 years before the crash of 1929. Once even the most conservative stocks were being described with a term minted in casinos, a market crash could not be far away. Among stocks regarded until recently as blue chips were Eastman Kodak, Enron, Nortel, Sears, Wachovia, Washington Mutual, and WorldCom, all of which ended up going bust. Some blue chips stay royal blue. Others can turn their shareholders black and blue. This is a favorite definition of mine, bonuses. And here is the creature himself. And I would call your attention to his rear end. Bonuses, noun, a mythical creature described by the ancient Romans and often included in medieval bestiaries. The bonusus closely resembles a bull, but with its horns curled back toward its tail. Because the horns are only for show, as the Roman naturalist Pliny wrote, the bonusus has no way to deter predators and will run away as soon as it is threatened. When it becomes panic-stricken, the bonusus spews immense quantities of flaming hot manure in its wake, as you can see. As the next stock market crash will show, the typical investor who believes himself to be a bull will turn out to be a bonusus. Do not stand too close behind him. So this is from a 15th century medieval manuscript, by the way. Here's a definition of bourse, which I won't read the whole definition. I just wanted to show you this lovely image, which is from a guide to Flanders, or the western part of Holland, where the city of Bruges is based. And this illustrates the bourse. And the first bourse is believed, the word is believed to have derived from the Van der Bursa family that owned this building right here. And over the doorway, you can't really see it too well, I'd have to blow it up, are 3 carved stone sacks of money. And the word bourse derives from the Latin bursa, for a sack. And I pointed out the stork at the beginning in the Bruegel illustration, and you can see a stork's nest on top of the bourse building. And storks in medieval Europe, aside from being scavengers who ate carrion and, as we saw earlier, waste, were also notorious for how noisy their beaks were. They would grind their beaks together to make a horrible clattering sound. And so some people believe that the stork's nest is included in this image as a way to symbolize how noisy the traders inside the bourse building were. And this print dates from 1614, but the image is probably from about 100 years earlier. So here's part of the definition of broker. I won't read the whole thing, but I did want to show you this wonderful image, which is from 1720, and is from a collection of engravings that were made in Holland, France, and England around the time of the South Sea bubble, the Mississippi bubble. And the other crazy stock manias that swept through Europe around 1719 and 1720. Now, I know this is called Lunch and Learn. At the risk of making it lose your lunch and learn, we will zoom in a little on some of the details. This is one of the earliest and most blunt illustrations of how how securities are distributed in a marketplace I've ever seen. They're literally being issued here. This man, who may well be John Law, the great financier who developed the Mississippi Company in France, and it also inspired the South Sea Company and some other speculative issues in England and Holland, is pouring coins raised from the general public into a funnel down the throat of this man, much the way a goose is fed to produce foie gras. But this man, who is sort of in the, well, I was about to say in the position, but who's analogous to an investment banker, is issuing these securities, which are then being distributed over the heads of the crowd. And here there are some other issues coming out in a very noisy way. And the reason I think this image is so fascinating is it reminds us that the bitter resentment of the financial community that has really resurfaced after the global financial crisis is as old as financial markets. For as long as securities have been sold to the public, people have, I guess I can say, lost their shirts, and there's been enormous bitter hostility toward the financial community in the wake of bursting bubbles.